All right, first thing on the agenda is reorganization of the Board of Council. I'll open it up to nominees for president. All right, there's a second. Is there any other nominations? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Passes. Thank you. We'll open it up for nomination for vice president now. We have a motion for Mike Teedy as vice president. A second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes. Thank you. All right, we have C.D.C. courthouse project update, C.D.C. reorganization update, and then a housing project presentation and letter of support.
Good evening, everybody. First, briefly in the courthouse, as I conveyed to commissioners last week, but just a little bit of further update since then. I believe we have reached the point which we have made enough project revisions to have brought the project within budget without cutting any corners. I think we reached a final consensus on revisions to the HVAC system in the building, which was one of the big lingering questions as of last Monday. With a lot of help from Brent Smith at J&K, who does all of the current maintenance on our systems. And we just need to reach a similar consensus on exactly how we're going to approach the windows in the building as far as what our primary bid will be versus alternate bids, depending on how everything else comes in. And really, that's about it. And the architects are starting to turn the discussed, agreed upon revisions into updated drawings. Any questions on the courthouse project?
Good.
So, fortunately, for the most part, while we didn't design, we'll say like a Rolls-Royce project, we'll call it a Cadillac. And so we've been able to remove X or Y or Z little things, take it down a step to maybe a Buick level. So we're not, like I said, we've been very careful and have had to push back a few times, not to cut any corners, not to make any decisions that we're really going to regret. But in the original plans, I think 5 offices were going to have service counter windows like you see at the Superior Court and the Sheriff's Office. And we eliminated 2 of those where there's not as great of a need. And that means less glass, less cutting into the structure, some of those thick walls, less stabilizing metal and or lumber or those sorts of things. So there hasn't been what I would say anything drastic. It's just been carefully reviewing each line item and taking it down a step so that the end finished product will still be a much more comfortable, user-friendly space and restore it to the grandeur that it once held before the last several decades. So, I mean, obviously we won't have the official final figure till but we're still at that 12.7 where that's our maximum. And the last numbers, it actually looked like if bids come where we estimate based on the revisions, we might actually, even with a healthy contingency, come in just a hair under that. Things could surprise us again. But we think we might end up just slightly under that now. And I will give a lot of credit to both our architects and Ton and Blank and to some of the subs who have worked with us to review the bids they submitted to see where we could cut things. Like the electrical bid ended up being higher than it was, for instance, because between the time they did last estimates for Ton and Blank and the time they actually submitted their bid, they came to our pre-bid walkthrough and realized how much more labor intensive cutting through some of the plaster for some of what the drawing called as far as like can lights would be. And so that went up. So they worked with us on finding alternates that would accomplish the same thing, but would reduce some of that intensive labor. So we have had a lot of great partners working through this to get it to where we need to be. Yes. All of the ones that they're doing the revisions to will get rebid.
What's the start date now?
Sometime in mid to late spring, I would guess. Part of it at this point depends on how quickly Matt and the other architects get the drawings updated so that Ton and Blank can put it out to bid, but mid to late spring.
Is that guy that was the head of the court or the justice project, is he gonna run this one?
John Allen from Ton and Blank, you mean? They can't guarantee that because they don't know how his current project schedule will go, but they have promised us that if they can make that happen, he will be back.
Other questions for Nathan?
Okay, then quickly, the Economic Development Commission has had its inaugural meeting. The Industrial Park Board had its first meeting since being reactivated. And they've elected their officers, started learning about their roles and responsibilities. Redevelopment Commission and Tourism Advisory Council will be holding their inaugural meetings later this week. And unless we need to change that to fit everyone's schedule, the first C.D.C meeting of the year is scheduled for a week from tomorrow night. Still looking for candidates to fill one seat each on the Industrial Park Board and on the C.D.C, with the Industrial Park Board seat being sort of a flexible anyone in the county who has an interest in it eligibility, and the C.D.C seat set aside for somebody from the agricultural community, preferably with an ag business background, to bring that voice to the table. Any questions? All right, then the last thing is this housing development opportunity that I emailed you all about. There's a developer based in Carmel. The owner of the company has ties to Winnemac. He's been working with me, Winnemac Town Manager Brad Zellers, and a local property owner on plans for a multifamily housing development east of the Winnemac Plaza. So behind Sanders, CVS Ace, about 8 acres, give or take, between the Plaza building and the eastern part of the Willow Creek subdivision. Company will be applying for special allocation tax credits from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority to support this project. This is a special allocation this year that only has room for 2 projects, and for which projects in only 4 counties in the entire state, including Pulaski, are eligible. They will have a stronger application if their proposal aligns with the local development plan. This property is included in the housing strategy that the Housing Resource Hub has prepared for us. It was on the radar of our task force, but it was deprioritized relative to the county farm ground that we have chosen as our catalyst project. So I've been working on an addendum to our 2021 strategic plan specifically focused on housing, where I will distill and synthesize the important relevant stuff from the strategic plan that the hub put together into a form that fits our, actually adopted by the commissioners next week, so that it they can get those extra points. It's going to be a flexible document that we'll be able to amend in the future so that things that don't get as much attention to detail now as this site does, we can revisit as appropriate, remove sites as they're maybe addressed or go off or no longer relevant. But I'll be getting that to the commissioners next week, and I'll get it out to all of you once the commissioners have approved it. In order for the project to meet minimum eligibility requirements, their application needs to be able to show material support from local entities. We're not required to submit any specific forms of support at this point, but we do need letters from the Board of Commissioners, Council, and the Winnemac Town Council expressing a desire to support this project. As I informed you by email over the weekend, I've included a copy of this support letter in your packet and asking you to authorize Ken to execute it tonight. It's worded as I explained and as Kevin confirmed today in such a way that it doesn't commit us to any specific form of support or a dollar value at this point. It just says, we want to see this happen. We support it. Here are things we're open to. Realistically, it's likely that the town will end up carrying more of the water on this project because it's in town and because, for instance, if a residential tax abatement were to be approved, it'd be under their jurisdiction and not the county's. But it helps to show that we're willing to cooperate with the town, the developer, and the property owner in whatever way ends up making sense and creates as little risk for the county while supporting as much as possible. So like I said, there is a copy of that attached to your packet, including your packets, and I sent it out this weekend. But unless anyone has any questions before I do so, I'll ask that authorize Ken to sign it.
You sent an email with Kevin looked at it. So
Yep.
Same thing you just said, right?
Yep.
Does that need a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the letter of support on the redevelopment to the Board of Directors of Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, supporting the project at First of Willow Creek. We have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
All right, unless you have any questions about anything or I've covered or anything else, that's all I have for you this evening.
All right, thank you. Sheriff?
Passed out to everybody here a copy of the annual commissary report or biannual commissary report that's required. You can take a look at that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. There's a lot about that I don't know. I'll say that up front. The second document I passed out, Chris thought it was important to share the statistics that we provided this year. All that information is gathered from our RMS, our call reporting system. Anything a deputy has done or has been attached to, or any call for service period is listed in that other one, as well as the total number of arrests, traffic stops, any work that we've put in as the sheriff's department is on that second form. So that's all I have if you guys don't have any questions.
Looks like it was a busy year.
It was a pretty good year, yes. Yeah.
Dogs, drug dogs, or
All three of our dogs they're all dual purpose is what they're classified as. So they're all three narcotics certified, detection certified, as you say, and they're also apprehension certified. So they do tracking, bite work, and they detect illegal narcotics.
I was at the airport and they had dog airport training. Explosives.
Yeah, they do a mix of both with TSA. They have got narcotic dogs, but they're really heavy on the explosives, obviously, for safety reasons. So.
They had a bomb.
Rural Center, I was told Rural Center, Logansport, and maybe Delphi was the other one.
I wonder.
Thank you.
How does this compare to like previous years?
I haven't looked at the previous years to see for sure, but this is on par with just about every year so far. It's pretty close. We currently have a group of very proactive gentlemen, deputies, and the other question that gets brought up a lot so far when they look at this is the amount of infraction tickets that are written. And that's just a training issue that we're having right now. Not an issue, but more of a solution, because the deputies are more focused on actual criminal offenses and criminal interdiction rather than writing the average person a speeding ticket. So they do stop a lot of cars. As you see, there's 2,100, 2,200 traffic stops on there. But they're looking for drugs, they're looking for warrants, illegal weapons, anything that's actually a criminal offense instead of a civil infraction citation, so. Okay,
Any other questions?
thank you,
Definitely, definitely. We thank you for what you do and appreciate it.
thank you.
All right, we need to approve a couple of the minutes. We need to approve and sign the 12/11/2023. Oops, that was 2022. 2023 regular meeting minutes, and then the October 9th council minutes. They got put in, but not everybody. Some people that were absent, and some of us who were present for the meeting weren't at the same meetings when they were voted to be approved, so there wasn't a quorum of like the on the 9th here, myself, Brad Bonnell, Jeff Richwine, Jerry Locke, and Sheila was here. Mike and Tim were absent, but I was gone when these were approved. And apparently somebody else was, too. I think maybe you were out at that meeting, Brad. And so there wasn't a quorum to approve the minutes of the people that were at the meeting when the minutes were done. So anyhow, I need to get both of these reapproved. So we'll do the 12/11/2023 ones first. If I can get a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. And then we'll do the October 9th ones here. I'll accept a motion to pass. All right, I'll make, there's a motion to accept the October 9th minutes. Do I have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Pass. And then we also had the joint session minutes of October 9th. Same thing happened there. So I need to get a motion to approve as presented. We have a motion to approve the October 9th minutes, joint session minutes as presented. Do we have a second? I'll second the minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes. Okay, we need to, the salary ordinance, the paperwork that is presented here are the pages of the matrix as it was presented passed at the November meeting. We need to get, each one of these pages needs to be initialed by each member here. And then there were some things that were sent out for discussion. Find the email. Have the list of questions. There are some questions.
The only thing I saw was that, I think when Jenny updated it, she forgot to apply the 3% for the first deputy stipend. So it's only off by a couple of cents, but otherwise everything looked like it's good to go.
There was a question about aviation. When Nathan had presented that, it was extremely high. Did that get adjusted to?
Yes, I believe it. Yeah, originally it was 60-some thousand and it's 47,427. Yes. That's an hourly rate, 26. Have a suggestion or whatever?
I don't know, I just think about some of these elected officials, just like Lord here, do you make choices? Okay.
Unfortunately, wish we could go back and correct past injustice. That we can't. Funds for that, but as we've said for a long time, there were a lot of department heads. Well, not just department heads. A lot of disruption. Or we'd like to. Anybody want to revisit that one?
What was it at again? I'm sorry.
47,427.
What was it last year?
I don't think it's full time.
But I think there was argument about it, and I think that his deposition stayed part-time for a long time. I can't remember what it was like.
I'm pulling the matrix up right now.
So 47 for part-time, yeah, I think that's a lot.
Pay benefits now too, on top of that?
Does he clock in and out more?
I believe so, but I'm not exactly sure how to get. I don't know if he's got a time clock out there, or he just gets on his computer, which I'm thinking is the case. Because our time clock is 11 days system, so I think he just gets on his computer when he goes in every day, clocks into it.
Can you access that time clock from any computer?
You can access it from the computer, yes. Now, not all employees can now, the supervisor of said employees which will be there. So there are certain, but there are only certain individuals that have that kind of access.
Well, I'm not like trying to start a thing about whether he's working. I think he does. I mean, airport, he's done a lot of cool stuff out there since he's been there. So that was the reason for that question. The question was just, is he working part-time hours? Is he working full-time hours? Because if he's working full-time, then there's no choice there, other than we'd have to cut his hours to put him back as part-time. If he works over that 28 hours, then he's automatically full-time.
Works it over a consistent, you can do it for a short period of time, but if it's over a consistent period of time, they're showing that that is his hours.
That's what my question is about, if he's, if you want to work 26 hours a week and we pay $26 an hour.
So last year, His hourly rate was set at 1671, which is well above what the part-time was. And the appropriated amount was the equivalent of 1,820 work hours in a year. So according to what's in front of me, he was full-time. What he was actually working, I don't know, but that was what was budgeted.
You can't see how much of that we use, right?
You said its new number is 47 for this year?
Yeah.
How'd you hear about this, Brad? I haven't heard anything about this.
It was in the budget meetings.
Yeah, but I wasn't here, so I just wondered what had happened, because I was sick that meeting. And I haven't seen the budget yet, so I didn't know what transpired. So his full-time would be 35 hours, is what you're saying, not 40. Yes. And
I'm looking on Gateway at the 2022 compensation report, and he was just a hair under 29 in 2022. So it sounds like at least the last 2 years, he's been appropriated for full-time.
So that's like a 35% increase in his pay in a year.
Well, I would say, considering we have a lot of questions, I guess, on this one, we don't have the answer. I assumed he was full-time myself. I thought he was. That's what I thought. He's full-time. When he went full-time, I can't tell you. I thought he was full-time now out there because of the aviation fuel and all that stuff. Thought back then's when he was full-time. I don't have that answer.
Wonder how much the airport costs. Recycling.
Mike, I don't want to go down that avenue again.
You went down it before, Nathan, so I just thought maybe you were gonna chime in on it.
I will note, since you brought up recycling, maintenance director.
Recycling transfer manager and airport manager are all at the same hourly rate. But 2 of them are 40, which is why they are in the 50s and Darren's is in the.
So do you need an answer on this payroll?
Well, recently discussed again, and you can tell me what you want me to do, because I have to pay.
Right.
And last pay, we got what was on the matrix. So, I heard Justin down, but you have to tell me.
So
I mean, keep paying him just like he is, and you have to adjust it some way to do, that's fine.
So on the last pay, he was paid at his past rate, not at this rate.
The new rate.
Everyone's paid at the new rate unless there was some question, and then he got paid lower. Like, there was a question, what we had for Nathan and what he told me what his wages should be was different, so we paid the lower rate at the last pay. Are you aware of that? If you agree that he's at the higher rate, whatever's on that page, then we will adjust at the next pay.
If he's working 35 hours, and he's making the same wage as everybody else is working 35 hours, and he is full-time. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only person that can tell me who's full-time and who's not full-time, because I don't know people by name as full-time and not full-time would be through the payroll system. Who's considered full-time and who's not. So I would need that answer. Say,
All I can say is all of these questions that we have, answers to them. They can be gotten for you, I just can't do it.
right. Well, so then I guess, how does the board want to handle this? I mean, these,
Well, if he's already thinking at a higher rate,
let's,
who wants to have that conversation? Now we're gonna be, we can do away already.
If he's full-time, that's what he deserves, and that's what the rest of them, in that same position are making.
I would say, we need to get, I guess need a definitive answer, which shouldn't take too long. Get it through Jenny or whatever, payroll to, right. Right, yeah, but we can, like I say, by the next month, we have and there's only one to two pay sessions in there, so I guess the question is, he was paid at a higher rate this time. Does the board want it to, I would say, go back to, it's easier to pay somebody a second paycheck than ask for money back. So there's two questions to be answered. Either A, we continue paying him at this rate, or we drop it back to his original rate, get the answers to that question, and
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or just answers for whatever prove it, and it's something different than what we're all doing. Like, Brad, you okay with that? I don't know about maybe Mike. I'm okay with that. I'm
Okay,
just,
so you want to know what he's been paid in the past, if he has been a full-time employee.
yeah, and then check the insurance stuff and all that.
Check the insurance.
well, that,
Going forward, he is being paid right now at full-time and is on the health, I believe he's on the health.
so if he's on the health plan, then he is full-time. Yeah, so we're not taking full-time away from him. If he's full-time and if he's on the health plan right now, then he is a full-time employee of the county. That's the only way you're eligible for benefits. So right now that he's a full-time employee, that answers the question right there. And if he's a full-time employee, this is where, he falls into with the categories that were set up, that are set out by the state and through the wage study we did, then I say he's where he needs to be, and, we leave it at that rate. Everybody agree? All right, so going back to that, is there any other questions off of here?
Can I find out how much the airport costs the taxpayers?
Can.
Can that be my question for next week? You want me to come over? Okay. Okay. One time somebody was wanting to buy it. Yeah, I think it was Calabrese, I think about.
Bluebird was.
Bluebird. They're left? Really? Visions without resources, hallucinations.
Hey, Mike, this year, the adopted airport budget that you all approved, $207,665. I don't know annually how much gets returned of that,
Yeah, because they sell that fuel.
but adopted budget before any unexpended revenue, any income from selling fuel, about 208.
All right, any other questions off the matrix that needs to be answered? Okay, so this was previously approved. We had more questions. We don't need approval on that, but we do need approval on the salary ordinance itself, salary and wage ordinance. So I'll accept a motion to approve the 2024 county matrix ordinance for salaries and wages. We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, remember everybody, this, we need to initial each page of this. So, yeah, start around, and this is the ordinance. Set that around. All right, on the matrix, and we kind of did some matrix and payroll discussion there, but one thing that kind of we need to finish up on for the year is the part-time, seasonal, and meeting pay. We have, I think Sheila has some things that she might be able to add for the meeting pay. If you got anything you want to add.
Did you guys all get my email with the boards and, so rounding up, those it's five boards, I believe. Those five boards, the average is $80. However, there's 2 or 3 boards that are a little over 100 per meeting. So instead of making them pay like a quarter less, I think it would make sense just to pay those five boards across the board $100 per meeting as long as it's in the meeting. As long as they attend.
I like that idea.
It's not cutting anybody anywhere.
Two
Well,
boards,
2 boards, but it was 112, is that right?
123 maybe?
Yeah, I might have my.
One was 112, one was 123 or something.
The highest one was the zoning, right?
Peterboa, and health.
Personally, I don't want to cut anybody. I mean, I would vote everybody up to where at least all of them make more. And then, you have trouble getting people on these boards to begin with. When you start cutting somebody, then, there's an issue, I think. So I'm all for, if it's the 120, bump them up $10 or whatever it is, so everybody gets something. But I don't want to cut it.
Do we have that in the budget? Should, right?
Out of it.
$118.55 was the highest. $118.55 was the highest. Email you.
Do you want to make a motion for 120 as long as they attend the meeting?
I make a motion that all boards get paid $120 as long as they attend.
Gotta stop that one because of the airport board.
It's not in this email.
Oh, I'm sorry, he just said all boards.
The boards, and she was email 120.
All right,
Rating per attendance, right?
Drainage wasn't in that email either, what?
Right.
Okay.
And all of those were sent to Kevin for
I didn't print it to Kevin, but.
I did.
Okay.
for his research and advice on those specific.
on all the boards that were in the email, or just the drainage
Well, I sent all of them, but there were like 3 boards that were in question because
of statute?
there might be some regulation setting a minimum for them or a maximum for them. And so all that was sent to Kevin to review. And
I guess that would be my only question is the fact of, I was gonna ask whether they sent to, Kevin for review. Do we want to wait until Kevin responds back? Make sure that we're in line and everything will work through. I'm in full, right, I'm in full support of it. I'm in full support. I just want to make sure that, like I said, if there's any questions or whatever out there that we don't. Right.
Kind of like jury duty, you get $15. I thought it was 15. But just all those claims, it was $15. We had a whole box of claims today and it was $15.
Some of them are mileage, some of them are if you show up and if you serve, it's $8.
This is just show up, they got $15. Is that right?
It's more than that now, they just changed.
Okay. Okay, well, this must have been old claims, so they were today when I read them.
So 15 to 30 if you show up and then from 40 to 80 if you serve.
Yeah, today they, oh, that one guy got $1.20.
But I guess back to the meeting pay. Want to hold off until next meeting whenever Kevin responds back and then make that motion? So, yeah, we'll get that taken care of at the next meeting. All right, and then like I said, part-time and seasonal, pay needs to be, looked at. Some of the discussion is looking at doing things, more by job classification, responsibilities and stuff to make it a little more in line with the work that's being done. So it's not kind of in one pool and.
Okay, so explain this to me. We got part-time people who are working now. Am I paying, they should be paid on, from the same as last year?
Yes, yeah, none of that has
They got
changed.
3% raise.
Yes.
So what they got last year was 3%, and then if you change it.
Right. Yes, yes, yeah, that's all future discussion beyond the 3% raise that went across the board.
So are you saying we're gonna revisit the part-time for, I think County Highway is one of those groups that can't get part-time.
Right.
I think the sheriff's office the same way. Do you know any other more that they require? I think the animal control person probably requires some training.
Yes, like I say, highway with CDLs, cycling, part-time have CDLs, there's certain requirements that in different offices you have to be able to fill in and do other people's jobs and stuff. And also, kind of looking at, that's why to me, it makes it very difficult to say we're going to pay everybody $60 an hour for part-time. Because there's a lot of still different criteria. So I would think we'd use pretty much the same process that we use for full-time, working with what part-time pay is and stuff and all.
Did you look at that, Nathan? Or?
In some but not all cases, yes. Depending on what we could make sense of on the reporting.
I think the part-time was a little more convoluted than full-time because, nobody seems to do what path is one. But we have some of that information. We just have to move forward and get more. All right. We have board reports. Any board reports? I have anything they want to bring? End of the year and first of the year, so not be a lot going on, but we appreciate any time anybody that's on any of these boards. I think anytime a council member sits on one of these boards, especially considering paying them a little bit more and all, probably would be them to bring back some information to the board and keep us abreast of rest of what's going on with them groups.
I think with Christmas, New Year's, I never went to a board meeting.
Right,
the Whole month.
That's why I said, end of the year, nobody, yeah, it gets pretty quiet, but. Any public comment?
Just questions that we have on the 3% cost of living increase. Can you just explain to us how that's figured in? We have our numbers for what we had talked about, with Nathan and, you, and those all check out, but we just aren't quite sure certain as where that 3% is being applied and how it's being applied based on our approved budget numbers.
I mean, it should be applied at 3% across everybody's wage.
Your budget is made to accommodate whatever the wages are, but it will not tie out equivalent. It should be a little bit more. Now, in some cases, I don't think it will be because the budget was done before the actual wages were set. But the attempt was there to make that budget cover whatever wages.
And I understand that. My question is just, so like when I worked with Nathan and talked with Ken about what the actual numbers were. Those numbers are matching up with what employees got based upon the matrix that was discussed. But I don't see where the 3%.
Okay, so you're saying that your 3% wasn't, it doesn't look like it was given to the
Correct. Yes.
employees. We'll look at it and see.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
But it's just already built into that number. So after November meeting, the version of
Or I'm sorry, December, the version of the matrix that I provided to the council was basically adjusted 2023. So they approved that and then did 3% on top of that. So the one that Laura has sent out to the council and the one that should be reflected is what that lower number in November was, plus the 3%. Those are already built in. When was that? That one would not have included the 3%.
So that's what my employee paychecks reflect, are those numbers. Based upon the text that you get sent with your gross. Here, I can show you.
Well,
I just want to make sure I understand. If I can explain to them.
So this is from.
While you're discussing this, I have a comment.
yes.
I believe that the commissioners meeting needs to be revised, it should be Tuesday, January 16th.
I need to look and see if there's a holiday or anything that falls in on them or, yeah, I always jump down on the Monday and,
or can just, Judge and I are on the same page, everything's kosher.
okay,
We're good?
okay.
Okay.
All right. I do want to make a comment though. Any department heads and public that is here, if you're not on the agenda, it makes it, if you need a decision made, you can't make a decision if you're not on the agenda. So if there's discussion that needs to be by the county at a meeting, they really need to get on the agenda. Any other public comment? All right, the next commissioners meeting is Monday. Oh, excuse me, I read wrong, but wrote right. Tuesday, January 16th at 8:30 a.m. The next council meeting is Monday, February 12th at 7 p.m. And the next joint session is Monday, February 12th at 6 p.m. We'll adjourn our meeting now. Thank you.